Welcome to Newsworthy Stories with Jacqueline Jimenez. It's rare that you get an opportunity to interview a rocket scientist, much less a future astronaut for Blue Origin. But that's exactly what I had a chance to do at the Broward and Beyond Business Conference. We're going to hear from Aisha Bowe in just a moment. But first, here's an introduction as to her why behind what she does. The keynote speaker at the Broward and Beyond Business Conference this year, Aisha Bowe, a rocket scientist with one of the fastest growing businesses in the country. Now she signed a contract with Blue Origin to head into space. She held a fireside chat during the conference with longtime anchor and reporter Nikki Mohan, who is now in leadership at Visit Lauderdale. But the Broward County Office of Economic and Small Business Development wanted to learn a little more about what's behind Aisha's remarkable achievements.
I want people to understand that the only limits in life are the ones that they place on themselves. Far too often, we think that if someone tells us that we can't, we shouldn't. And for me, my entire life is about breaking boundaries. I started with a 2.3 in high school. I was told I was never going to be able to go to a good school and that I was unlikely to have a prestigious career. I did both things. I went from community college to 2 degrees in aerospace engineering from one of the best schools in the country, the University of Michigan. And I went from there to work for NASA for 6 years as a federal employee where I was in the distinguished category, which means that I was performing highly. And so that part of my life showed me that sometimes the things that people think are likely to happen are based off of things that they were told and they never tested. And so I became fascinated. What else could I do if I actually tried? I made a list and I literally wrote down, I want to go to college, I want to become someone, and I want to become a rocket scientist. Because if I do that, then I know that all of these things are true, right? The dreams are real. And one of the things that I never thought I could do was become an astronaut. And last year, I got a call completely out of the blue about an opportunity that I might fit for. I went through the interview process and I was presented with the chance to fly to space with Blue Origin. And when you get shots like that in life, you do not say no. You let them tell you no. I view everyone and everything as a business. You can be a business of one with a personal brand. We see influencers all the time making hundreds of thousands and sometimes millions on TikTok, on Instagram, as a business that would not have been conceivable decades ago. I've seen people who are great at baking cakes or making crafts create Etsy stores or Shopify stores and sell their things online, and they are also a business. And so the first thing that I like to remind people when I talk about my journey is in order for me to become a business, I first had to see myself as a business. And once I realized that, I started to get practical exposure to foundations of business. I, in my journeys, have not found a comprehensive study of business that suits a startup. I find a lot of business programs that do a really good job at teaching you how to run something that is established. But when you want to create your own, it's important that you get out there and understand that failure is success and progress. I have been fascinated by this idea of skills and a skills-based economy. While I would love everyone to go out and get a 4-year degree, it may not become necessary in the future. There are many things that you can use that can enhance your skills early on. And one of the things that my team and I actually created is called Lingo. It's a self-paced coding kit that teaches the fundamentals of computer science through hands-on electronics at home. Last year, we started tinkering with one box. That one box turned into us delivering over 6,000. We support teachers, we support countries, and you can all do it at home.
For more information on upcoming events from the Broward County Office of Economic and Small Business Development, go to broward.org/econdev. That's ECONDEV. Joining us now to talk more about STEM board and lingo is Aisha Bo. Aisha, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Jacqueline.
What is the difference? We talked so much about your why and your extraordinary story, where you came from, that mindset that you had and you had to make that shift. What is STEM board? And then what is lingo?
After spending 6 years at NASA as a aerospace engineer, I wanted to find a way where I could have impact that was greater than the role that I was in at the time. And so I decided to found an engineering company that did two things. The first was I wanted us to be technically proficient. I wanted us to showcase what it was like to be an engineer on exciting and engaging projects. And the second thing was I wanted to demonstrate that you could do good and do well at the same time, which meant that we would take a portion of the revenue we generated every year and we would directly invest it right back into the communities we came from and the communities we serve. That dream became STEM Board, which I've owned for the last 10 years. And our education and outreach programs, which were developed by engineers, they grew and they became so successful that we were forced to create a whole nother company in order to house them. And I'm really honored to say that we've been the backbone of many national nonprofits like Inroads. We've consulted with historically Black colleges and universities. And for the last 8 years, I've held the largest free tech camp in the Bahamas where students can come and learn engineering and entrepreneurship for free on me. And so STEM board really was a labor of love that allowed me to express the creativity that I have in technology with the world.
Can you talk about some of your expertise? What are some of the things that you just mastered?
I think I have excelled in the art of providing mission, vision, and values. I mean, I would love to tell you that I'm a phenomenal engineer, and I do think that I'm pretty good, but I think the company has been successful because I have communicated my why to our team effectively. And that why is really bigger than me. The why is how do we create a world that's better than the one that we found? And what I mean by that is, I didn't decide to pursue engineering until I was 18. I didn't have parents who paid for my education or helped me with the down payment on my home or really could help me get ahead in life. It was my technical career that did all of these things. And so I don't think that it's fair that as society, we require students who are 13, 14, and 15 years old to know exactly what it is that they want to do. You do not choose who you were born to. You can only choose how you respond to your circumstances in life. And so if I could create a business that could inspire people with similar technical skills to educate and to empower and to motivate the next generation, I I couldn't pass up that opportunity, and that's what we did. And so we're all really leveraging our collective brilliance in these areas like aerospace and data analytics and computer science to create solutions that allow us to fully engage and hopefully empower the next generation of leaders.
I find what you do fascinating because science is just, you know, everyone they think they can't do science, but your story has proved us all wrong. And I always think of my son. When he was in second grade, his teacher said he is going to be a scientist. And I was like, really? But you know what? He has always drawn towards science
Mhm.
no matter what. And so sometimes I wonder, well, maybe she's right. Maybe that is a draw for him. But for someone who he just loves to build, right? So how do you know which way, because I know you're involved in, education, with lingo. Is there are there signs that say, engineering is might be something you're interested? How did you get there?
For me, I was not the student that started out focused on science and technology. What I'm really fascinated by are words and the power that they have when you're careful and you're deliberate in your usage of them. If you saw the documentary about the Williams sisters recently, one of the more powerful exchanges that I really enjoyed was the father did not permit anybody to interview the daughters who didn't believe that they were going to be world champions.
Mm.
And he spoke that over them. And what I find is that a lot of youth will internalize what people say about them from a very young age. And that shapes how they see themselves, that shapes their energy and their effort. And I want to extend that to not just young people, but all people. I think it's important that we look past what people may have done in the past and we focus on their potential in the future. And that's how I like to use my story. I made these decisions after high school. I decided that I was going to be an aerospace engineer as a community college student who didn't perform well in math in high school. And now I'm the owner of two companies. I have nearly 50 employees, and we are multi-million dollar enterprises on both sides of the house. And it's because I chose to speak that into existence and I chose to pour over other people and speak power to their existence as well.
I can listen one to you all day long. And this is just how, my perception of you. And I don't say that to everyone. It's just you can feel the passion that you have. And when you speak, you really do speak into people's lives. And even when you were sharing about what you're doing, and I can actually, some people can say that and you're like, sure, okay. But you, I believe, and I think I know why I believe, and it's because you've already done it. Um, this other lingo,
Mhm.
what is lingo? Where did the word lingo come from? And what are you doing around the world with this amazing kit of innovation that you've come up with?
Well, lingo came from a conversation that I had when I was in Paris. And I was so grateful to be there. I had started working in the government and I finally had money to go out and travel. And I remember talking to a developer who said to me, I'm French. I was born in France. But in order for me to be successful in my job, I have to know English or at least the English equivalent in coding because there's no native French coding language. This was a decade ago. And we had this whole conversation about language and foreign language. And at the time, most people thought about learning Spanish or French or another language in order to get ahead in life. And I'm like, but really, technology is going to be la lingua franca, right? Technology is that language that people need to know that is going to become a democratizer. So why don't I name the kit Lingo? That was the big thought bubble when we had the naming meeting, which is incredible because I don't think I've named anything else as well since then. I am not a namer. I usually take 15 to 20 minutes. I name all my printers, I name all my cars, and it takes me a while. Like it's a while to come up with it, right? And I just sat there in the meeting and I was like, we're going to call the kit lingo and we're going to treat technology as a language and we're going to make it easy. We're going to make it so easy that even if you don't speak English, you should be able to do it because our kits are color coded. And last year, I taught a tech camp in Bishkek, which is in a country called Kyrgyzstan. And I remember watching the students put together the kit with very basic English skills, and they were successful. And I said, I think we have accomplished what it is that I set out to do, which is I don't want your command of English to get in the way of your ability to build skills.
That is so smart. It's just so smart. It's, of course, usually something brilliant is. It's simple, but it's just so smart. Uh,
And one of the things that, because I could go on about this forever, so you may have to cut me off. But
I
one of
won't.
the things I love about the Lingo Kit is that I did not see these topics until I was in engineering school, and they scared me. But this type of exploration through hardware, through building and like hands-on self-paced learning is what students need to see in order to decide if they're interested or not. There's power in knowing what you don't like to do in the same way that there's power in knowing what you want to do. But many schools do not yet have this type of exposure. And so my challenge was, how do we write this, align it to national learning standards so it could be taught in Title I schools, and also manufacture it to the highest quality that it can be brought into universities so that we can find a way to teach all as opposed to few. And that's really what we've done with Lingo. And I'm so proud to say that we have a number of HBCUs who teach us from computer science. We have a number of students who are in schools in Georgia and Florida who use us. And we've sold over 5,000 kits last year and have even created resources for teachers. And occasionally I go out and I teach 8th grade just to check to make sure it works. Like you know, I'm not just talking about it from, a perch, but like I literally go out into the classrooms and I teach alongside teachers to make sure that this is a tool that can help them and help the learners as well.
I'm sitting here and I know this is absolutely not what we had talked about, but one of the clients that I have, it's one with the USDA, Natural Resources Conservation
Mhm.
Service, and James Amps of Amps International.
Mhm.
And they put on these youth entrepreneurship camps
Mhm.
to generate interest in the field of agriculture. Now, I'm looking at this lingo and because one, it's going high tech. And so I'm like saying to myself, is that something that in a way that might be able to help that field? Because
Yes.
I'm saying to myself, I see this for the USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service in their quest to bring people into the field of agriculture and because it is going high tech.
So I'm going to tell you something without embarrassment, but I am a serial plant killer. And so when we talked about our new lesson content, I said to the team, you know, in the pandemic, I would zoom in and there'd be people who have these beautiful plant backgrounds, right? Like lush green plants. That was not me at all because I couldn't trust myself to not kill those plants. And so we created a temperature and humidity sensor that could be used in precision agriculture. And it is the basis of our plant health lesson. We have a whole entire lesson on plants. We shot it in a greenhouse. And so those are the types of things that are in this kit. We created lessons on sports, test your hand-eye reaction, your coordination timing. We have lessons on music. It's really designed to be an exploration of multiple career fields. So I would love for you after this call to check out the trailer for plant health, which is on the first page because it is so fun. It is so, so fun. And I'm not just saying that because we made it, but like it's literally one of my most favorite lessons. It even has exploding plant emojis in there. Like when you finish it, all the plant emojis explode. It's cool. It's fun.
That is great. I'm just sitting here, I'm going, this would be great. This would be great for the agriculture field of agriculture. So I'm not so far off. I feel good about that, you know. But one of the things I really loved about what you had shared originally when we, spoke at the Broward and Beyond Business Conference was the fact that this was a tool for teachers. Talk to me about how you are getting this into the classrooms and how teachers can do that.
Well, we actually have a grant writing apparatus at Lingo, which is something I'm really proud to talk about, where we do not want schools to expend resources that they may not even have. And so we partner with corporations, we partner with grant writers, and we have identified a number of community grants that you can contact us about that we will help you pursue in order to bring this resource in. We also worked with educators to develop alignment to several state standards, along with lesson planning and curriculum. And so if you get access to a Lingo course, we're going to give you your lessons. We have assessments, And then we're also going to provide comprehensive training to make sure that you have confidence in the classroom when you roll out the kit.
That's excellent. I'm not, you've got this other thing that, that is interesting. I don't know what, this astronaut, Future Blue Origin Astronaut. There's so many people who are afraid to fly. How do you get the courage to go into space?
I just consider it to be a blessing. Honestly, when I started out, I just wanted to make enough money so I didn't have to live with my parents for the rest of my life. Like that was the goal. And when the opportunity presented itself, I had to say, Aisha, you've worked for so long alongside some of the incredible individuals, Jose Hernandez, Leland Melvin, Dr. Yvonne Cagle, just people pushing the boundaries of what we know to be human exploration. How could you say no to an opportunity to rise to that occasion and to be able to put forward your story as one that might be inspiration in the future? And that's really what I'm motivated and excited by and to do. Although I will tell you, it is terribly exciting. And every day I think about it, I like wake up, I take a shower, I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're going to space. And then I'm like, okay, but calm down. You still have to like, go for a walk and work out and lead the meetings. But then you can remember you're going to space.
Well, tell me about that. So, have you started any of the training? Have they told you what you need to do or anything like that yet?
Well, so it's really amazing the program they have. It's very comprehensive. I have been in touch with them, but my launch date has not yet been announced. You really sort of ramp up as you approach closer to launch. For now, I'm doing several activities which you'll have to follow me on IG to hear about because we're unveiling them as we go. But most of the work right now has been in partnerships and education. I'm doing a lot when it comes to fundraising for academic purposes and scholarships, supporting students, things of that nature. Next year will really be when the training starts. And so I think I'm kind of lucky because I don't have to worry about dieting too much this holiday season.
Oh, well, that's good. That's always a plus. So tell me, just so I'm sure, what is your IG address or whatever you call it, handle?
Yeah, people can follow me at Aisha Bowe. It's AISHABOWE. Try to keep it easy.
Okay, well, that's easy. I'll make sure I put that in the comments whenever this goes out as well. So I just wanted to, I always ask this question, and that is when people see this interview or
Mhm.
hear about this story or want to learn more about Aisha Bowe, what do you want them to understand most about you uh, today? Because it changes, week to week, sometimes.
I think that what I want them to take away is less about me and more about them. And it's often that we are more powerful than we allow ourselves to be. Every turn in my story, I got out of my own way and I did things whether I believed I could do them or not. And by doing that, by exercising that confidence and by having that faith, I've had the opportunity to build what I consider to be a life that I love. And I want everyone to think about that. Now, you don't need to go to space, you don't need to be a rocket scientist, but I don't know. Maybe you want to try to be a watercolor painter. Try it out. Maybe you're going to win the chili cook-off this year. Enter, right? Just start pushing the boundaries of what you think it is that you can do. I guarantee you're going to surprise yourself.
I think you're right. Thank you, Aisha Bowe. Thank you so much for spending time with us. And you will be hearing much more from Aisha Bowe. So follow Aisha, follow Newsworthy Stories, but we're going to get her story out there to the world, into space. Thank you, Aisha.
Thank you.